Now, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video for financial engineering. Today, we are going to talk about financial derivatives. Now, first of all, what is a financial derivative? A financial derivative is basically just a contract, right? It's a contract that derives its value from another asset. So, I will explain what that means in a short while when I give you examples of financial derivatives, right? That's basically what it means. It's a contract that derives its value from another asset. So this contract, they exist because we are trying to hedge our risk, right? The risk that our asset or our underlying asset is exposed to, or we are exposed to due to interest rate. So there are different types of financial derivative. We are actually going to be looking at two of them, but they are actually like swaps, or again they are swaps, they are futures, they are options, and they are also forward, right? Forward, sorry, that would be forwards, right? So again, I'm not sure if there are more types of derivative, but these are the common types of derivative. We are actually going to be looking at the last two: derivative, options, and forwards, right? So and we are also going to look at why, again, how we are going to price them. More especially, we are going to focus on options, right? When we are going to focus on options, we are going to focus on how do we price options. More especially, we are going to look at the put-call parity, the binomial model, as well as the Black-Scholes equation. So yeah, so hang tight as we are going to go through all these theories. But first of all, right, what is a forward contract or a forward derivative? Again, a forward is a derivative, right? Remember that we said that a derivative is a contract that derives its value from another asset. A forward is basically a contract where the writer, let's say, there's going to be a writer and there's going to be a holder. The holder of this asset has the right to buy the underlying asset in the future specified time for a specified price, right? So we are here at time 0, and at the future time capital T, right? We have to buy the asset. Let's say the asset is going to be 50 kg gold, right? And then we say that in the future, in the 12th of November 2023, we are going to buy 50 kg of gold for, let's say, 10 million rand, right? For 10 million rand, right? So again, we are going to enter into a contract. The writer of the contract agree that they are going to sell me, the holder of the contract, let's say is between the seller and Kayuri. So the writer, let's say the writer Kayuri agrees that she is going to sell 50 kg of gold to the seller for 10 million rand in the 12th of November. In this way, they both lock their price at 10 million rand, and they are going to sell in November, right? So this is a very good contract, so that both these people are protected against any fluctuation of this commodity, right? So yeah, again, so that is what is going to happen, right? So we know that from the side of Kayuri, let's say that she's the writer. Okay, let's look at the present time. So again, here is where we agree, and then in the future is where we are going to transact, or where we are going to exchange. So the seller is going to give Kayuri 10 million rand, and Kayuri is going to give the seller 50 kgs of gold. That's basically what this contract does, right? And usually these contracts are sold in an exchange or over the counter. It is preferable that they are sold over on the exchange, because it's a very liquid market, so it is easy to transact, right? So what can I say? Now let's look at the writer, from the side of the writer, right? I'm going to say from the side of the writer. and from the side of the holder. So we are going to look at the payoffs, right? So how is the payoff between these two holders? So first of all, we are going to talk about this asset. What is the worst thing that can happen to the asset? This asset we will actually call S. So we will say that the asset is going to be S, the price is going to be X, and the date is going to be capital T. So in maturity, that is at time capital T, what is the worst thing that can happen to the asset? The asset can be worthless, in which case it means that if the asset is going to be worthless in the future, that is, if it's going to be zero in the future, and Keyuri has to sell their asset to the seller, and the seller has the obligation to buy this asset, it means that simply we have Keyuri actually gained X, exactly X, right? But this thing can go, it can keep on increasing all the way to 10 million rand. If the value is exactly 10 million rand, the payoff is going to be zero. But then if it continues to rise up, let's say maybe the price of gold, of 50 kg of gold is 50 million rand, Keyuri cannot sell the 50 kg gold to anybody else but the seller. So it means that Keyuri loses 40 million rand because she has the obligation to sell this asset to the seller, right? So yeah, and on the side of the holder, who is the seller, what's the worst thing that can happen to the asset? If the asset is worthless, it means that she paid minus X, that is the strike price, or the 10 million rand. She paid the 10 million rand for an asset which is worthless, meaning that she lost exactly 10 million rand, nothing more, nothing less. But if the asset value increases, the payoff is going to look like that, right? Meaning that if the payoff is exactly X, which is 10 million rand, it means that she gained nothing from this transaction because the value is exactly how much you paid, right? But if the value of gold is more than 10 million rand, it can go all the way to infinity, or let's say in perpetuity. It means that this seller would have gained more. But as you can see, the writer has more to lose and the holder has more to gain, right? So these are the payoff of a forward contract. Now we are going to talk about option contract. So what is the difference between an option contract? There are two types of option contract, right? So a put and a call. A call option gives the holder the right to buy, but not the obligation, hence it's an option, right? So if you are the holder of a call option, it means that you have the right to buy the underlying asset. Let's say now we have like 10 or 10 tons of grain, right? I'm not sure why I keep on using commodities, but it's fine. For 10 million rand, right, in 12 November 2023, right? It means that this seller has the right to buy 10 tons of grain from Keyuri for 10 million rand in the future. She has the right, but not the obligation, meaning that she can choose to exercise or not to exercise. It is her right. Right? She can exercise if it, if it benefits her. She may not if it doesn't benefit her. Meaning that her payoff, the payoff of the holder, who is this seller, is going to be like this, right? So we are going to have a payoff like this. Since she's not going to exercise when the asset is worthless, she is only going to exercise when it is exactly 10 million rand or more, because she want to gain, right? So she has nothing to lose, right, when she buy the asset. And then on the other side, we also have a put contract. A put contract gives the holder the right to buy, but not the obligation. The right to sell, but not the obligation. meaning that you can buy this asset. You have the right to buy this asset, but not the obligation, right? It is your right. You can only buy if it benefits you. So, meaning that the payoff is going to look something like this. I'm going to change color. It's going to look something like this, right? Because you can only sell this asset, right, if it's worthless, right? You can only sell this asset if it's worthless. So, or all the way to a point where the asset is exactly the strike price. We say that the price is going to be X, the date is going to be capital T, and that is maturity, and the asset is S, right? So if the strike price is more than the asset value, you're obviously not going to choose to sell, because you can just sell that asset to the market, and the market is going to give you a better price. We are going to go into details about how this works in class. So for now, I'm just giving you an idea of how financial derivative work, and what is a put option. I mean, like, what is the option and what is a forward, right? So in the next few videos, we will be looking at how to find the strike price. What is exactly, how can we determine this X, right? And how can we determine the value of the asset, right, of this financial derivative, right? Because you can write it, but in between maturity, you can exchange this asset. How do we find that value of the asset? And also, how do you determine arbitrage, right? And if there is arbitrage, how do you take advantage of it, right? So I think this is where I can end my video. So please do like my video if you like it, or if you have enjoyed it. Also, do know that we do offer private tuition, so that we can go into details. This is just a rough sketch, just to give you an idea. It is the whole point of this video, is to give you a rough idea of what is happening in the module, but it does not go into detail. So if you want to go into details, I do encourage you to attend our classes. Thank you very much.